Hello, fictional. Welcome to the Fiction Series X. Today we are gonna see what if Issei was in the 7 Deadly Sins Part 2. If you end up liking this video, please consider subscribe, so without further ado, let's get into the video. The group looked at Issei, and Riaz said in a non-believing tone, so you have been all around the world and that you have a divine sprite like being in your pocket. Issei then replied, yes I do, isn't the right tricks. Then a ball of light came out of Issei's pocket that circled around everyone, and Kuroka and Kaneko tried and play with it, and it played with them. Then the ball of light stopped next to Issei, then the light died, revealed Trix, who said, hi, I'm Trix, and I'm a Kwami. The Keno said, hi Trix, so if you are here the Issei's story is true. You got that right, Trix said. Okay, how about we talk about this in the tomorrow as it is late, Issei said, and everyone agreed, so where can we meet? Everyone began to think of a place before Riaz said, how about we meet in the clubhouse at the weekend? After everyone agreed, then went on their merry way. The morning Issei is in the playground doing his morning training when he was about to leave and go to the clubroom and asked if he could use the shower when he bumped into someone. When he looked he saw someone that looked like a nun with blonde hair, then said, hey, are you okay? The blonde said, yes I am fine thank you. Issei then asked, so what is a nun doing in Kuo town? Well, you see, I was just appointed to the church in the city, but unfortunately I got lost, said the blonde girl. As they two of them was about to leave the park they heard crying. They looked and saw a boy who had scraped his knee. The girl run over and said to the boy, a big boy shouldn't cry over a scrap, you will be fine. Then she put her hand together and there was a green glow and the scrap healed instantly. You see, there isn't a reason for you to be crying at all. Then she looked at Issei and said, all done now. As they was walking to the church the girl said, you must be surprised. What about? Issei asked. My power, the girl replied. Nah, my grandfather always says there is more to the world than meets the eye. You must be lucky to have a healing power, Issei said. The girl said, thank you, I consider it to be a gift and a blessing, truly it's wonderful. Once the duo got to a pathway, Issei looked at the girl and said, okay, all you have to do is follow that path and then you are at the church. The girl said, thank you for your help, my name is Asia Argento. That's alright, and my name is Issei. Hi, do well, see ya, Issei said. Then they went their separate ways. When Issei got to class he said, sorry, there was a nun who got lost, and as I don't want to be punished by God, I help her find her way to the church. It is lunchtime. Issei was in the clubroom with all of Riaz's peerage, and Riaz looked at Issei and asked Issei, there is a rumor going around, is it true? Issei looked at Riaz and said, that all depends on what the rumor is. Riaz said, the reason you was late this morning was because you helped a nun out. That rumor is true, Issei replied. Riaz just sighed and said, Issei, you need to be careful, just setting foot in a church will create problems for both angel and devil alike. And why do I need to be careful, Riaz? After all, it's not like I'm not a devil and I am not a part of your peerage, so you cannot tell me what I can and cannot do, Issei said. Kaneko said, you know Riaz, he does have a point. I see your point, Riaz sighed in defeat. Later that day Issei was helping Riaz with some paperwork. What a Keno came in and said, Riaz, we just received message from the Archduke. The Archduke? Riaz asked. The Keno the said was urgent, a stray devil has been causing trouble nearby. Riaz then summons the rest of her peerage, then a Keno summons a teleport circle and Issei decides to tag along. Once they appear near a warehouse, a Keno says, according to the reports the stray has been luring people into that abandoned warehouse, hen eating them, so tonight's job shouldn't be too hard, just find the beast and kill it. After spending some time searching, Kaneko said, it's here. The moment Kaneko said that there was a voice. Now what could that full smell be? Something smell delicious as well, I wonder if it tastes sweet or bitter. Then she came out behind a pillar without immodesty. Riaz said, visor, you wretch, you betrayed you master and run away to fulfill your lustful wants and desires that have consumed you. Your sin are worthy of 1,000 hells. In the name of the great Marquis of Gremory Began, or met your death. Visor looked at Riaz annoyed, then said, oh be quiet, you little slut, you have always had it in for me. She plays with her breasts while saying you're just jealous because your breasts will never be as luscious as mine. This is your final warning, return to your master now, Riaz said. Visor then said, what is I don't want to. Then she showed her true self, then magic circles appeared around her tits, then shot acid at everyone and all but Issei dodge, so Issei got hit. Riaz saw this, then shouted Issei, but then she saw that Issei was unscathed, then said Kiba, then Kiba disappeared, then reappeared in front of Visor, then cut her arms off. Then Kaneko walked up to Visor, but Visor's stomach revealed to be another mouth. Then she ate Kaneko, but the mouth didn't close as Kaneko was holding it open with most of her clothes melted. Then she said, catch you on the flip side, then she punched Visor. Riaz said, a Keno. The Keno started walking and said, oh, is it my turn? How exciting, how I do love this game. One of Visor's arms started to twitch and then launched towards Riaz. Issei saw this, then jumped to intercept it, but subconsciously activated his demonic power and set the arm on fire with black fire. Riaz being a little shocked at what just happened and the mark that was above his right eyes, then said, thank Issei. No problem, Issei replied. The Keno finish her off please, Riaz said. Akeno turned around and said, I've got news for you, please, you're not the only one who likes to play rough here, so let's you and I have a bit of fun. Then lighting was being channeled between her hands. Tough girl, not ready to give up, yet that's good, I get to play a bit more, summoned a powerful thunderbolt. Rias then said, Akeno, I believe she's had enough. Over already, I was just beginning to enjoy myself, replied Akeno. Rias walked over to Visor and said, any last words before we finish this? Visor groaned before replying, go to hell. Alright, how about we got this over with then, Rias said before summoning a magic circle before saying game over and unleashing a red and black flame and obliterating Visor, then saying we're done here, come on, let's go and do some jobs. Sounds good to me, replied everyone. Rias summoned a teleportation circle and took everyone to the club room. When everyone was walking out, Rias called Issei, hey Issei, do you mind taking a job from Kaneko? There seems to be a little mix-up, and was double booked. Issei thought for a moment and said, sure, I don't mind helping out you guys out, so what is the address I am needed at? Thanks, Issei, you really are a good person, but what was with that mark above your right eye? Rias asked and gave him to address of the clients. Issei looked at Rias, then said, let's just say that I am so much more dangerous than you devil and far more powerful than the angels. Then with that Issei took his bike and went the house. When he got there he knocked, and when there was no answer, he tested the door, only to find it open. He walked in and there was a strong smell of iron in the air, then mumbled what the hell and walked in with caution, walked into the living room and saw blood and a couple brutally murdered. Punish the wicked words to live by, said a voice. Issei looked over to the sofa and saw a man in an exorcist jacket. Yes, wise advice from a holy man. Then he looked at Issei with a crazed look on his face. So, where is his holy man? All I see is a punk that gets his rocks off by killing innocent humans, Issei retorted. Not liking that comment, the man got up and said, my name is Fried Selzen, at your service, and you, my friend, must be the scared little pussy whose devil ass that this priest is going to exorcise this fine evening. Issei looked at Fried unimpressed and said, oh, so you're a priest, but doesn't the church have rules about killing humans, even if they have contracts with devils? But he summoned you, so he was done being human, so it was the end of the road, sinner, Fried said to Issei, so I had to chop him up into itty-bitty pieces. He then handed to his jacket, while saying, putting down degenerate devils and the lost souls who cry out to them is my job. Then he done and a sort of light handle, and nobody is better at it than me. Then he activate the sword. Nice, you must be good as you have a light sword and a gun, Issei said, mildly impressed. Fried said, first I am going to cut you evil heart with my heavenly blade of light, then I am going to blow a hole in your wicked demon face. Then he launches at Issei, but he dodged it, but Fried quickly turns and shoots him just above left knee, but due to Issei's training, he didn't flinch. Fried then says, these bullets have been blessed by an exorcist, hope they taste good, scumbag. Issei then stands up like nothing was wrong, due to gaining Ban's powers he gained from the Fountain of Youth, and said, oh, is that so? Well then I am not impressed as my masters hits me harder than your measly bullets. Oh, then maybe it is time for Fried Selzen to send you back to the abyss whence you came, said the psychotic man. You can try, you psychotic freak, Issei challenge. Then he runs at a slow pace as he didn't want to show his true power to this man. Oh, so the scumbag still has some fight left in him, Fried says, then cuts him in the back before saying, get a guy all worked up and leave him half-cocked, that no way for a lady to treat a gentleman like myself. Then he brings his sword up and just before he assumes he was kill Issei. There was a girly scream, what the hell, Asia, what are you doing here? Are you done creating the barrier already? But it looks like she didn't hear him as she was shocked at seeing the chopped up couple. No, don't do this, as Asia said, shocked. Right, a newbie, well I guess it's time you learn this is what the job is, my dear. We dispose of unfortunate people who have been bewitched by the evil devils, Fried tells her. She looks to see Issei sitting upright and crossed-legged and gasp, oh, it can't be. Issei raises one hand and says, yo Asia, how are you? Fried looks between the two shocked and says, what's going on, do you two know each other? Asia still shocked at seeing Issei says, Issei, why are you here? Oh, that is a easy and simple answer, I am here as a favor for a friend, Issei replied. So, you are a devil, Issei said, a sad Asia. Actually, I'm not, as I have said I am here as a favor, but I will admit they are devils, Issei said without slightest bit of shame. Fried interrupts by saying, not that this is heartwarming, but don't listen to him as he might be lying, so you and your friend have no business being together, and the fallen angels have forbidden all forms of contact between our kind and theirs. Have you forgotten that already? Now then let's do what we came here to do. Then Fried places his sword at Issei's throat and says, I hope you said your praise. Asia runs and protect Issei, you have got to be kidding me with this. Please don't, I beg you for mercy, forgive this man of his sins. Father, couldn't we just let him go? Asia begs Fried. Issei says, hey Asia, don't waste your breath with this type of person, after all he is psychotic. I am sure he hold more sins than me, and I hold the title of the 7 deadly sins. That thing is not a man, it is a devil. You made a pledge to defeat our enemy, said Fried. It doesn't matter what he is a good person, I know he is, you can't just kill him. How could you just believe that God would approve this, as Asia say? Freed was annoyed and says enough of this bullshit, then cuts Asia's robes to revealed white bra and panties, but the bra also got cut which revealed a nice moderate size breast that will still develop and pale pink tits. She shrieks and covers up, and before Issei could protect her, Freed grabs Aaron, pins her to the wall and molests her, then bring his gun up between her legs and what is her robe and aims at her uterus, while saying why shouldn't a upstanding priest like myself do what he wants with a trump like you, is that so wrong? Issei got up and said, hey douchebag, how about you pick on someone you own size like me, because with your high and mighty attitude, and I am amazed that you got into this house with how big your ego is. Then he punches Freed in the face. Issei then pulls the priest's sword out and quickly grabs Asia and gently places her on the floor, then he tosses the priest his sword, then he rips his shirt, and Freed sees 4 crimson animals, a dragon on his left shoulder, a fox on his left hand side, a goat on his cheek on the right hand side and a boar on the neck on the left hand side, while Asia sees a crimson lion on his back. Issei then places his hand in the dragon, then S short sword appeared on his back and he draws the sword. Freed picks the sword up, then gets up and says, think you can beat me, then come over here and show me what you've got. Asia then looks up and says, no, don't do it. Freed then said, hey, let go for a new world record, let's see how many pieces of meat I can chop you into. When Freed lounges at Issei, just then a teleportation appeared and Kiba was the first to come thought and blocks the sword and says, hey Issei. Then Akeno come though and says, oh, this is gross talk about a nasty messes. Then after Akeno, Kaneko came though and says in a monotone, an exorcist. Issei being a bit shocked lowers lost vein and says, hey guys, it's not that I'm glad that you came, but why are you here? Before anyone could answer, the exorcist jumps back and says, ooh, now it looks like you have a good old-fashioned gangbang. Kiba looking ready to attack says, you're done here, sorry to disappoint you. Freed then says, oh, I am far from disappointed, trust me, so what the deal, you're the pitcher and he's the catcher. For a priest that's quite a mouth you've got there, but no, you see he isn't one of us, our master sent him here as a favor for us, as one of us was double booked, Kiba said. And what are you, the impiety police? Get off your high horse, douchebag, hunting your kind is my only concern, so stop preaching and let's get to it, said the annoyed exorcist. My this guy is certainly a piece of work, Akeno said with a sedative look. Freed said while holding himself, and you my dear are a hot piece of ass, oh those eyes are killing me, there is nothing I lust after, a sexy devil bitch. If you want it then come and get it, came Ria's voice, then she sent a blast of your power, but Freed dodged it at the last second, but don't think you can handle it, no one hurts one of my friends and gets away with it. Well, look at who finally showed her tits, well don't get ahead of yourself, as I am sure I had already heard him, Freed said. Issei stand up and says, I don't think you have, as I don't have a mark on my body. Riaz looks at Issei and says, Issei, I am sorry I sent you into the hands of an exorcist and I didn't know there was a barrier up, and when office came and asked where you was I told her that you was doing a favor, and then a moment ago we felt its presence of it. Freed kicks Asia while saying you was meant to make the barrier die. Issei runs and punches Freed, but this time he put a bit more power into the blow and sends him through a wall. Kaneko took a sniff, then says, fallen angels are here. Freed, who was laughing, said, good timing, hope you're hangry because light spears are on the menu. Issei, who know how many fallen was coming, know that Riaz and her peerage couldn't handle that many in close space, and he also wanted to protect everyone, minus the psychotic moron, had to ask, so Riaz, what is the plan? Well, it was getting you out, came Ria's reply. Okay, I will come with you, but first let me do something, Issei says, then walks over to Asia, then kneels down and whispers in her ear, don't worry, I will come and get you, then I will protect you, then looks at Riaz, then nods. Akeno, prepare to jump, Riaz instructed. Alrighty then. Akeno then summons a teleportation, then everyone inside was gone. Back at the clubhouse, Riaz and her peerage and Issei appeared, then Riaz looked at Issei and said, Issei, I have to apologize for sending you to the house, if I had known I wouldn't have asked for your help. Issei looked at Riaz and said, well, I am glad you asked me, as you know firsthand that I am very hard to kill after all. Didn't you have your knight run me though with a sword right at my heart? Then he left, leaving a shocked crimson-haired girl. When Issei got home he said, honey, I'm home, then all of a sudden he was tackled by a black blur, then he said, hey office, how are you? I am good, but what happened tonight, office said. Then Issei told her all about what happened when he was done. She asked, what do you plan to do? Well, first I plan to go to Paris, then I will be coming back, and then I will cause the fallen angel some havoc. Then both of them went to bed in the morning. Office went to school, and Issei teleported to Paris. When he got there, Ladybug and Chat Noir just finished with their latest Akuma, as he had enough of the Akumas, as most of the time they interrupted the date of 2 of his friends, so he decides to go and meet with the super duo, but first he decided to first go into an ally, then let Trix out, then said, Trix, let's pounce. Once the transformation was done, he went to find the duo, but first he called them, then made a place to meet up once their Quemis recharge. Once the trio met up, Ladybug run and gave Ban a hug and said, hey Ban, how are you? I am good, little red, Ban replied. Tat said, so what can we do, Ban? Well, hi to you to chat, Ban said, and gave him a fist bump, then said, how would you like to have a proper date without worry of an Akuma attack, as I am sick and tired of having Marinette calling and crying about all your dates that has been ruined due to an Akuma, which made Ladybug blush. And when I got here you two just finished with the Akuma and placed a tracker on it, now I am on my way to face Hawkmoth, so do you two want to come with? Both Ladybug and Chat Noir looked at each other and nodded, then Ladybug said, count us in, but can we get some reinforcements first? Ban looked like he was thinking and said, sure, just in case thing goes south, so do you want to get them, or should I? Ladybug? Ladybug said, why does it sound like you know who I choose to be Queen Bee, and Carapace is Ban? Ban had a pride look and said, because I do. Cat Noir said, careful Ban, you're starting to be arrogant again. Ban said, and that is the sin of pride, and Ladybug mimicking him, then the three of them laughed, then Ladybug went off to get the bee and turtle miraculous and the holders that Ladybug trust them with. About half an hour then when Ladybug showed up with Queen Bee and Carapace, then Ladybug said, okay Foxy Sinner, who are these two? Are you seriously asking me this now? And Ladybug nodded. He points to Queen Bee and said she is alias Issei, then points to Carapace and says, and he is Nino Lahaf, and all four of them was shocked before Ban continued, now are you fishes finished? We have a mission to do. Ladybug shook her shock and said, oh yes, so what do you plan to do, Ban? Well, first I plan to talk to Mo the boy, then how that proceeds depends on him, Ban replied. Queen Bee looked at Ban, are you crazy? Hey, have we met? Queen Bee, I do hold the title the 7 deadly sins, Ban said. Queen Bee looked down and mumbled, you do have a point, then the rest of the group laughed. Once the laughter died down, Ban said in a serious tone, now I will be teleporting straight Hawkmoth's lair, so try not to throw up, and the 4 French heroes nodded, then a circle appeared, then the group was gone, and when they reappeared in a pitch dark room, then Ban shouted, hello, is anybody home? Then Ladybug slapped him, which got a hey, what was that for? Ladybug then said that was not taking this seriously. Before anyone could say anything, the sunlight opened up and standing in front of them was Hawkmoth and Mayra. Then Hawkmoth said, it is good that you came and hand over your miraculous to me, but before that happens, I have to ask, how did you get in here? Ban stepped forward and said, that is because of me, I came here to talk and they are here as backup in case this goes south. Mayra said, why now do you do this, Ban? The simple put it, I am tired of having the lady phoning me crying because Hockey here decided to accumatize someone, so here is the deal, I will ask just one question and where that goes depends on him. Mayra was taken back by the answer asked, what do you mean where it goes depends on him? Well, depending on the answer he gives me, I might just help him if it is justified, not that I approve of it, mind you, replied Ban. Hawkmoth took some thought into it before answering, okay, you have a deal, so ask your question. Why do you want to make the wish that the cat and bug can give? Ban asked. Hawkmoth was not expecting that question answered, is it to bring my wife back? If you follow me I will show you. Sure, but you might want to get your assistant to drop her transformation, as I can tell something is wrong with her, Ban said, which shocked both supervillains. No, I will stay with Hawkmoth, Mayra said. Okay was all Ban said before Hawkmoth showed the heroes something that shocked Chat Noir. There was a glass-like coffin, was a woman in a white suit with blonde hair, Ban said, so what is the problem with her? Hawkmoth looked at Ban and said, what you will help? Ban still looking at the blonde woman and said, why wouldn't I, even though I don't condemn what you have done, Hockey, but you done what you think what it done, so this is a noble cause, plus if I didn't help you and my masters find out they will try and kill me, so cause then looks at the others and said, you lot can say over there, then points to the other side before saying, chat, think you can last till I'm done before you go ballistic? Yes, I think I can, Chat replied. She is in a coma due to using the peacock miraculous, which is damage, Hawkmoth replied. Oh yes, before I start, just so you know, Hawkmoth, I want payment, Ban said. You wake up Emily, I will give you my company, Hawkmoth said. That won't be necessary, as I will take both the butterfly and the peacock miraculouses, Ban said. Done was all, Hawkmoth said. Righty-o, then let's get started, Ban said, dropping the transformation, which shocked everyone. Then Ban looked at the others and said, what? Ladybug said, you moron, why did you do that? Well, because we are about to reveal ourselves due to him giving me the butterfly and the peacock as payment, so I can wake up Sleeping Beauty here, plus Chat now knows who he was fighting. Then he thought, hey Merlin, you will need to take me over, due to this being way out of my league. He let the original Boar Sin take over. Then Issei's eyes went from red to gold, then said with a feminine tone, now then let's see what we have here, then looked over the woman. After a couple of minutes, he or she said, well, this isn't much of a problem, then looked at the others and told them to get some ingredients. Before they left, Ladybug asked, are you okay, Issei, as your eyes just changed color? Issei Merlin said, greetings Marinette, Alia, Nino, Adrian, Gabriel and Natalie, I am not Issei. Chat, who was dropping his transformation, said, you are one of the original 7 deadly sins, aren't you, followed by everyone else. You got that right. I am Merlin, the boar sin of gluttony. Issei, let me take over due to the task is currently out of his league. Then everyone went to get the ingredients. After half an hour everyone had returned, then Merlin started the shortly after Gabriel started to apologize for everything. After a few hours Merlin was done and made Emily drink it, then after a few moments Emily's eyes fluttered open, then Gabriel slowly walked over as if he couldn't believe his eyes, then hugged his wife, then Emily asked, where am I? You are home, my dear, was Gabriel's reply. Issei flew up and hugged Emily's cheek while crying and said, welcome back. Emily smiled and hugged the Kwame and said, it's good to be back. Issei then started to cry again and said, I am afraid this might be the last time we see each other. Due to that boy points to Issei helped bring you back. Gabriel has to give him both my and Naru's miraculouses. Emily, shocked by what happened, said what, then walked over to Issei and asked, why are you taking the miraculouses? Issei looked at Emily and said, well, is it my payment for brining you out of the coma that you placed yourself in when you used the broken peacock miraculous and because of what he did while you was in the coma, but I might be able to persuade the guardian to let you two look after them, but in the condition that you do not use them for evil, otherwise I will come after both of you. Are we clear? Both Emily and Gabriel looked like they was about to pee themselves, then said Crystal. Okay, both of you can follow me so we can head to the guardian and get that miraculous fixed, Issei said. Right then, shall we? Gabriel said as he headed to the door. Marinette remembered something, said Issei, how about once you get the miraculous fixed, would you like to meet us at the park with our classmates? Sure, I'll be there, Issei replied, then followed Gabriel to a limo, then gave the driver the address. After a 5-minute journey which was mostly Emily scolding Gabriel about what he'd done, they arrived at the guardian's place. Before the trio went in, Issei stopped, looked the married couple, and said, I want both of you to wait out here for a couple of minutes. Before Gabriel could moan about it, Emily said, I will do, then gave Gabriel a look at, said, agree, or you are in more trouble than you are in right now. Okay, Gabriel sighed. When Issei walked through the doorway and saw Master Fu, he said, greetings master, I have brought a couple of people for private massage. Okay, bring them in, Issei, Master Fu said. Then Issei went out and came back in with Emily and Gabriel, then Master Fu said, so Issei said, you two are here a private massage, what can I do for you? Emily said, well sir, he told us you can fix this, then showed him the miraculous, then points to Gabriel and said, and as for my husband, he is here to apologize for all the trouble he has caused as Hawkmoth to revive me. Master Fu looks at the peacock miraculous and says, well, this won't take long to fix, and as for you Mr. Agreste, well, I understand why you did it, as I might have done the same thing. Then Master Fu took a deep breath and said, but I do not condemn you actions, you have a lot of making up to do. Even though I will not tell anyone, then went to fix the miraculous, which shocked the designer. After an hour Master Fu came back and was about to put the peacock miraculous in the miracle box when Issei stopped him by saying, you know master, I know you want them back, but I think you should let Gab and Emi keep them, which got a strange look from Fu. Now, don't look at me like that, I have seen how the Quemis are around them. It is true that Gab used his for evil, he did it as his wife was in a magic coma, and as Master Akasum sometimes says magic must defeat magic, and as I told them if I hear on the news that they are using the miraculous for personal gain, I will hunt them down, and for that you have my word, and plus you know as well as I about the supernatural world. Master Fu thought for a few minutes and said, okay, you win, but you have to tell all the miraculous users. Then he looked at the married couple and said, you can both keep the miraculous, as Issei had gave his word that you was only trying to gain the ring and earrings so you can bring you wife back, and that if either of you miraculous are being used for personal gain, he will hunt you down. Emily said, yes, we had already agreed to that. Then Master Fu gave the peacock miraculous back to Emily and said, then that is all, please come again. Once outside, Emily turned to Issei and asked, do you want to be dropped off at the park? Issei. No thanks Mrs. Agreste, I will fly there, Issei said before he just took off and headed for the park. Once he got there he said, hey guys, how are you and what are you talking about? Lick said, hey Issei, we are good, and Lila was just telling us that she went on a date with the grandson of the headmaster at the most famous dojo in the world. Ryazanpaku, isn't that cool, and he rocked her world if you know mean. Issei looked shocked by this statement and said, I know what you mean, and it might be an interesting story if that is true. Lila took on an offensive look and said, are you calling me a liar? Issei looked at Lila and said, do you want to hear what I really think or what you want to hear? Lila know that if she chose the latter it might reveal that she was lying a lot of the time, and thinking that it was a trick question she said, what you really think? Well okay, so just don't go crazy if you don't like the answer, I know you are a liar, Issei said. Lila went wide-eyed, then Ivan said, how can you just call her a liar without any proof? Well Ivan, I can do just that, Issei said. No, you can't just say that she is lying without any proof, Max said. Actually, he can, and all the proof that he need is himself. After all, what Lila is saying involves him, Max, Marinette says. Wait, you mean to tell us, as Rose began. Yes, I am the grandson of the headmaster at Ryazenpaku Dojo, and I have not seen her near the dojo, Issei said, which shocked mostly everyone apart from Marinette, Alia, Nino and Adrian, and as for Lila was now sweating bullets as she didn't know that Issei was the grandson of the grandmaster and only that the grandmaster had a grandson before. Issei continued, so, if she is lying about me, what else has she been lying about? And before anyone could ask, Lila run for it. After a few more hours, Issei, Marinette, Ayla, Nino was at the Agreste residence having dinner when Emily asked, so Issei, how did you do that flying trick when we left the Guardian's place? And this got everyone's attention as but mostly Issei's friends. Well, for you to know that you need to know that there is a multiverse and not just a universe, and in one particular there are 5 races. You have the giants, the fairies, the humans, the goddesses and the demons. I will be skipping majority of it, and each living thing has something called a magical ability. The humans have an army called magic knights, and the most powerful are 7 criminals of sorts, called the 7 deadly sins, and they went all human. Ether, you had Merlin the boar, sin of gluttony, a mage, king or harlequin, a fairy. Then you have Ban the fox, sin of greed, a human who gave up being immortal to save the one he loves. Then you have Gother the boar, sin of lust, a doll created by a demon. Next you have Escanor the lion, sin of pride, a human. After that you have Diane the serpent, sin of envy, she was a giant. And lastly you have Meliodas the dragon, sin of wrath, and he was a demon. And about 10 years ago I almost died trying to protect someone and found them in my mindscape, and in order to save me, they had to become one with me. Nino asks, so you are a being who is part mage, an immortal, a giant, a demon, a human and a fairy. Gabriel looked at Issei with a critical eye and said, so does this have something to do with how you managed to persuade the Guardian about us keeping the miraculouses? As a matter of fact it does. Your son and everyone here knows this, but you know the myths and legends which got a nod from the married couple, well they are real, and occasionally you do get rouges, and the church or devils send word to whoever owns the territory that the rouges are hiding in. Then the owner will normally sort it out themselves. As Alia asks, what do you mean by normally? Well, you see, the owner of Paris isn't as young as he used to be, Issei replied. Marinette was shocked as, wait, do you mean that Master Fouet, the owner of Paris, is? Yes, I do, so you should all talk to him. You all should go and talk with him sometime soon, and thanks for dinner. Now I must get back as I still need to cause some havoc for some fallen angels, Issei said, then disappeared. Gabriel looked at Natalie, then said, okay Natalie, I want you to free my plans for the weekend as we have an important meeting to do tomorrow and I want some time with my family, and that includes my son's girlfriend. When Issei appeared in the clubhouse he was met with angry Riaz, who said, and where have you been? Issei looked at Riaz and said, hey, I don't remember, I have to tell you where I want to go. Riaz looked ashamed and said, you're right, and I'm sorry, just so you know Sona is looking for you for just ditching the day away. After ditching Riaz, Issei went to the park and saw Asia, then he walked up behind her and said, hey Asia, how are you? Asia jumped a bit, turned around, saw who it was, said, Issei, you scared me, and I am good. Issei looked around, saw that there was no one here, turned to Asia and said, so what brings you here? Oh, I am here as I couldn't deal with what the fallen angels was doing, so I run away, Asia replied. Issei was surprised by this, then said, okay, then let's go somewhere else and grab a bite to eat. Then he took her to a fast food joint, then before either of them knew it had turned into a date, and at the end they was by a fountain, and Asia was telling Issei her past when then Issei said, well, that is sad, and I might sound like an ass for saying this, but I am glad that you went, though what you did after all it brought you here, and we became friend, and I don't give a shit what anyone says. Is Asia, who had tears in her eyes, said, thank you Issei. Then there was a female's voice behind Issei who said, isn't that sweet? Issei turned around and saw a fallen angel, and before he could say anything, Asia said in a scared tone, Lady Rainer. Issei turned to look at Asia and said, wait, you know this perverted fallen? Rainer, who heard him, said, who the fuck do you think you are, calling me a pervert, and don't you think about running? Asia. Issei, sensing a fight coming, took a step to protect Asia, and the latter said, go away, I don't want to be a part of any evil that you and the others are doing. Issei looked at Rainer and said, you heard her, now piss off, but the fallen summoned a spear of light, and Issei said, oh, a spear of light, I'm shaking. Then before anything else happened, Rainer threw the spear at Issei, and it went thought him, and he coughed up some blood, and when the spear faded the wound healed and he noticed a pale green glow. The fallen angel then said, now Asia, be a good little girl and come with me, as your healing powers will be more useful than anything, or I will kill your friend. Then she summoned another light spear. Issei got up, then said, like hell she is going with you. Then he felt a sense of dread. He then looked up and saw the fallen about to throw the spear. He then pushed Asia out of the way. When the spear hit the ground it exploded, coursing Issei to flies into the water. Asia shouted, Issei, no. Rainer then floats down next to Asia and said, I spared his life on purpose, if I wanted to, he would be dead now. Asia looked defeated and said, I'll go with you, and before Issei could get to the Asia said, goodbye Issei, I'll miss you, then they was gone. Issei went to inform Riaz about what happened by the fountain and what he plans to do, but before he could finish Akeno came and whispered something in Ria's ear. She said, something has come up Akeno, and I have to step out for a moment, continue where we left off when we get back, okay Issei. The moment Riaz and Akeno left, Issei said, well, I'm not waiting around for them to come back, then walks to the door. Kiba then said, mind if and Kaneko come with you. Issei stopped, then turned around and said, sure, I don't mind, but just so you know I plan on going through the main door. Riaz and Akeno appeared behind the church and they was greeted by a little blonde fawn who seemed a bit arrogant. Then Riaz said, since you are standing guard, your people must be worried of an attack. The blonde girl said, worried as if we just don't want you devils to interfere with a very important ritual that is going to happen tonight. Akeno then said, well, there just so happens that one of our friends and two of the younger members of our team are going there right now and they are not exactly being secretive about it either. Which caused the girl to go on a rant, then said, well, if you want to save them, you will have to go through me first. Riaz said, well, sorry to bust your bubble, but we are not exactly going to do any sort of rescue op, we are here to see what Issei is capable of. Meanwhile on the front side, Issei, Kiba and Kaneko was talking and Kaneko walks up to the door and kicks it while saying they know we are here. Once inside there was no one anywhere, then Issei said, now I am used to this sort of thing, but damn it, shit still creeps me out. Then there was a clapping, then Fried stood up and said, well, I was hoping we would meet again, so I am glad you could make it, I bet you missed me. Issei then said, yeah right, you psychotic bastard. Fried then said, here's the thing, I pride myself that I never battle a devil more than once and yet here you are just rubbing it in and I will never abide by, and that is being mocked by bandit devils in the house of God, so what do you say, let's finish this is, then he pulls out his gun and sword. Issei took a step forward and said, where is she? Fried said, you mean that dirty devil-loving whore, she is just downstairs, that is just below the altar that we are currently standing on, but in order to do that you will have to get through me. Kaneko then picked up a bench, then throw it at the ruse, cut the bench, then said, you're pretty strong for runt. Kaneko then said, suck it, then throw some more benches, then Kiba kept the priest occupied, while Issei sneaked over to the altar, then he picked it up, breaking whatever it was holding it there, that he throw it at the priest, then went down, and Kiba and Kaneko followed. When they got to the room that they was holding Asia, they saw she was tied to a cross that just started to glow green, and Asia screaming, then a small glow formed in front of her chest, and Asia's screams died down, then she went limp, and Rainer said, at last twilight healing is now in my hand. Kaneko and Kiba both drive forward, spiting the group of priests so Issei could get to Asia, and with tremendous speed, he got Asia and was walking away while carrying the small girl in a bridal style, and Rainer said, you can take her, I got what I needed. Issei didn't say a word and he had bangs covering his eyes, and not liking that this boy was ignoring her, she threw a spear at him, but he jumped down the stairs and landed without a sound, then with the same speed he ran out to the stairs. Once in the main hall he placed Asia on the bench. Then he waited for anyone to show up and it didn't take long as Rainer, who healed a cut and said, you male teammate did this is. Issei said, I will ask once return the secured gear to Asia for face something far more dangerous than a devil. Empty threats, Rainer said. Then all of a sudden there was a dark pressure. Rainer looked at Issei and saw his eye was black and not gold, and he had a mark above his right eye. Then he said, you face devils, nor the triad demon. All the fallen angel did was summon a spear and throw it at Issei, but he caught it and said, I've had enough of this. Then he shattered the spear, then he walked over to Rainer, grabbed her, then took the rings, then he threw her out the door. He was on back to Asia when he saw Riaz, who said, so that's what you are, a demon, how about we make a deal, you tell me what are capable of and I bring Asia back. Issei took about a minute to think, then said, deal, but you bring her back and it will tell you tomorrow. Okay, Riaz said. Then Issei handed her the twilight healing. The Riaz done the resurrection ritual. After a joyous moment everyone was leaving, but once they got outside Issei just froze when Riaz noticed this, she tried to snap him out of it. Meanwhile at Riaz and Paku. Beato was in his room when he heard something break, he looked over and saw it was a glass ape and then remembered what it signaled. Flashback. It had been a month since Issei moved into Riaz and Paku, and time Issei was going to bed when Merlin asked him something. Hey Issei, do you mind if I take control, as I need to talk to your grandfather about something and I need it to be private so no overhearing. Issei thought back, sure, but will you tell me what you talked to Gigi someday? As Merlin took over, she said sure I will. Then he or she walked to the office. Once Merlin was at the office and knocked. Hayato said come in. Once Merlin walked in Hayato said Issei, it's your bedtime, so you should be heading to bed. When Merlin replied, both hers and Issei's voices was overlapping. Sorry Hayato, but I am not Issei, I am Merlin the boar sin gluttony, and I need to talk to you something about the boys nah, and there was something there that wasn't human, so I ask you, do you know what it is? Hayato took a deep breath and said yes I do, it is the legacy of a humanoid alien race called Saiyans. Then he told her all about the Saiyan race, then finished off with, so, as you can see the bloodline is not potent enough to cause any real trouble. Merlin then said, well, you might want to worry with us 7 deadly sins inside Issei and giving him power. It is also going to make the Saiyan DNA stronger, but it won't be strong enough to turn Issei into the ape form until he is 15, then the bloodline will take effect and I know the master ad. Your dojo might strong enough to contain him when that happens. Beato looked shocked, then said, as you know, when he turns 15, he is moving back to his mother, so how can we know when that happens? Merlin then took a few minutes to think of a solution, then she said, I have an idea. Then with a wave of the hand, a glass figurine that was the shape of an ape, then said that figurine is connected to the bloodline when it breaks, that means Issei is under the full moon spell. Beato took the figurine then said, thank you Merlin, and please don't tell Issei this until the transformation. Merlin then said, well, you didn't have to ask me, that is I was already going to do the exact thing. Then she walks out of the room and backs to Issei's room. Flashback end. Beato then summoned all the masters, and when all the masters showed up, Beato said in a very serious tone, thanks for coming, but we have a problem. Everybody was surprised, a serious tone, and Akasum said, what is the problem? All Beato said, it is Issei, and that got everyone's attention. Then Beato told them about the talk he had with Merlin and how Issei is the trouble. Once Beato was done talking, Shigeru then said, so when do we leave? Now was all Beato said. Then all 6 masters run out and run at full speed to Kuo. Back at the church. Riaz and her team was now beginning to worry when they saw a monkey tail grow out of Issei's tailbone, then his chest began to expand like Issei's heart was growing, then after every 10 seconds his muscles began to expand, ripping his already torn cloths, then he began to grow taller and hereafter. The transformation was done. Issei had turned into a giant ape. Riaz slowly flew over to his face and said, Issei, are you alright? But she didn't get a response. Instead, the ape swung a hand and knocked her to the ground, which left an impacted to where she landed. The Kendo couldn't believe that Issei did what he did, shouted, hey Issei, stop this at once or you will be sorry, but she did not get the response she wanted due to the ape threw a tree at her. Once out of harm's, she summoned a few bolts of lighting, but when the bolt hit Issei, it did nothing but. Annoyed, Kiba summoned a sword and went to slash his leg, but the sword shattered, and this went on for half an hour. When Riaz was smacked to the ground for the umpteenth time, she landed near the ape's foot, and the ape lifted his foot up with the intent to squash Riaz. When the ape brought his foot down, Riaz closed her eyes waiting for the pain that was to come, but it never came, so she opened one eye and saw that. Someone with tanned skin who then shouted to someone, hey Akasum Apachai, saved Crimson Girl. But now Apachai, we need to focus at the task at hand, Sakaki said. Once the Apachai put Riaz down, she saw 4 grown men and a grown woman standing there, and all the men had her beaten peerage. Then Riaz asked, who are you people? The oldest man looked at Riaz and said, we are the masters at the Ryazenpaku dojo. Riaz was shocked as she is meeting legends and worried for Issei, then said, please don't kill the ape, it's not his fault. Then Akasum said as he placed Kaneko down, we are not here to kill Issei, Miss Gremory, we are here to stall for the next hour, as the sun will soon be rising, and we would be out of our mind if we was going to kill the grandson of the Grandmaster. This news shocked most of the teenagers. Then Asia asked Riaz, excuse me Riaz, but why are you and your team shocked by this news? Fibble limped over and said, the Ryazenpaku dojo has masters that are so strong that most if not all factions are afraid of them, if they even take jobs from the factions, but they have a rule for the supernatural world, that if they take a job they do not kill the innocent, and you would be wise not to. Lie to them. Shigeru looked over and said, you are right about that, now you kids stay here and let us take care of this. Then the masters went to attack the ape. They seemed to be fine, so Asia started to heal everyone. There was about 10 minutes left till the sun rises, and most of the masters was having trouble standing. Seeing no other choice, Hayato said, fall back everyone, I will hold Issei up for the last few minutes. Sakaki asked, are you sure you can handle this? After all, this is not a normal fight. Hayato looked at Sakaki and said, I will be fine, after all I have yet to bring out my trump card. Sakaki then nodded, then jumped over to where Riaz and her peerage was, and Riaz looked at Sakaki and said, what is the old man doing? He is going to get himself killed. Sakaki, who was still watching Hayato, said, relax, there is a reason why he is known as the invincible Superman. Hayato was walking towards Ape Issei and brought his left arm, then there was a red glow, then a red gauntlet appeared with a green jewel, then a voice came out the gauntlet that said, it's been a long time since you used me partner, so your opponent must be tough. Hayato said, it has been a long time Drag, and as for who our opponent, it is our grandson. Because of some circumstance he is now a giant ape. Drag said in a surprised tone, I take it has something to do with the 7 deadly sins that is lives inside your grandson, does it? Hayato chuckled then said, they are half of the problem, the other half of the problem is me now. Then balance breaker. Then Hayato was in a dragon scale armor. Drag then boost, then Hayato kept the ape busy, then the sun, then the ape started to shrink, then once the transformation was done, Issei was sleeping in his birthday suit and the 5 females blushed when they saw his penis. Hayato took off his shirt, placed it on him, then picked Issei up, then looked at the others and said Issei will be put till tomorrow due to the first time transformation, so I am going to take him home, then I will meet you clubhouse and I will tell you everything there is to him so you can. Make then took Issei home. Once Hayato was at his daughter's house when he knocked. Miki answered, saw that it was her father, then saw that he was carrying Issei. She panicked, but Hayato calmed her by saying, calm down Miki, he just had that transformation that I told you about 10 years ago about our bloodline. Once Miki calm down, her father said, now mind showing me Issei's room as I need to let his devil friends everything, that is if the others haven't done it already. Then Miki showed her father where Issei's room was. When Hayato was leaving he turned to his daughter and said I will be by later to check on him, then he left for the school. Once Hayato was at the clubhouse he was meet with a Keno who showed him the way when he was in the main room. Rias the said greeting grandmaster and welcome, you don't have to tell us about Issei, as Akasum had told us about the powers he has that comes from a different universe. End of the part 2. So how was the story? I hope you like it. And if you like it, share this story with your friends and like the video too. And don't forget to subscribe our channel for daily awesome fanfiction. Okay, it's time for me to go. Bye bye.